Survival on Purpose coverage of the 2016 SHOT Show, sponsored by Through Night Flashlights. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose coverage of the 2016 SHOT Show. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. I'm here with Brett Sieber, and I'm trying to find some unique companies and companies that have a really interesting story to tell you. And Brett is with First Edge Knives, and when I heard their story, I was fascinated, and I knew you'd want to hear it. So, real quick to tell you my little take on it, and we'll let Brett take over the details because he knows more than I do. But First Edge has been for the last year kind of an undercover supplier to the Navy SEALs, and I mean that seriously. They didn't broadcast it, didn't give it any publicity, but they have been supplying and are still supplying knives to the Navy SEALs and Special Warfare Group and other special forces who are actively deployed. These knives are being deployed right now in combat situations, so they are the real deal. They have a very interesting story, and so I'll let Brett tell it because I don't know it as well as he does. Brett, thanks for helping us.
Well, thank you. About 18 months ago, we were contacted by Naval Special Warfare to solve a problem they had. And they had a problem with knife sheaths in Arctic conditions breaking in two. The team members were deploying with and taking the knives and actually using thick wire ties and wire tying their gear to their leg. And when they were in Arctic conditions, the cold was actually taking the Kydex or the ABS sheaths, both, and breaking in two. So the guy would have the knife strapped to his side, and he'd be on an operation with the raw blade on his leg. So they brought us in to see if we could help fix the problem. So what we ended up doing is we ended up taking a standard Kydex material and creating a tri-laminate. So we've got a back layer, a stainless steel liner, 300 series stainless steel, so the same as dive knives. It's very corrosion resistant. So there's a steel band that goes around from here to here. Then we took the sheaths and made it a take-apart, since that they can service the sheath and get rid of all the salt and so forth. So we use Swiss screw machine fasteners where we design and make special, and they can take the knife sheath apart, and at the same time they can move the lanyard tie down location. So they can go up, they can go down. The other thing that we did, they were having a failure with the webbing that's normally used, and it goes into another type of material like a rubber or what have you that then attaches. That was breaking in two as well. So most of the sheaths out there were just using two fasteners to hold it. We ended up going to four. And the other request that they had is we get rid of all the Velcro and snaps and all the ancillary stuff. They wanted it just, look, we need a hammer for operations, we want a plain hammer. So they wanted a plain webbing. And so what we ended up doing is using a very compliant material, which is a toe strap material, so they're using lefty. So this Box X material is actually how all the toe straps are put together and the hooks and the rest. So that we have got a Box X here fastening the system, and then we use a Box X up high, which actually adds stiffness. So when you have the knife in it, it's not flopping over. And so the other thing that we did too for them is we made it to where they can put a 3-inch service belt in. And that takes care of their needs there. We mold the sheaths and CNC the Kydex so that it's precise. Right. And what we do is you get 15 pounds pull, so that they're able to take this off and mount it on their vest or what have you. And to release it, you just take their thumb and pop it. Okay?
And so it's also, I'm assuming it's ambidextrous. You can turn the sound the other way.
You can. The other thing that we do is we offer this to them in different heights so that we vary their wear. So some guys like to wear the knives lower. Some guys like to have them up higher, especially depending on their girth and where they carry their gear. So that we make this adjustable so that so we really went out of our way to make it special for them. Going to the knives, they wanted a survival knife for Kodiak. So they go through
Kodiak, Alaska.
Kodiak, Alaska. So they deploy in with several schools or survival schools. This gets issued, and then this is also a operational knife that's used in combat. So this is almost a 1/4-inch thick LMAX. It's probably the biggest piece of LMAX out there that any of the distributors have seen in a fixed blade. But they didn't want any dimpling. They just wanted everything basic and simple. So they wanted a back pommel area, lanyard. We went with removable G10 scales. We like they can take it apart, but we prefer that there's really no need to have to take this out and service it. There's some videos online apparently of them actually cutting down a tree with this knife and trying to get the edge to roll over. That's a flat grind.
Flat grind, okay, yeah.
So those are ground on 4-axis CNC burger grinders. The grinders come out of Germany. They're very selective on who they sell the machines to as well. They went out of their way to get us the machines in months instead of a year lead time.
And speaking of that, I know LMAX Steel is not a very prevalent steel. It's not only made in small quantities, but I understand the manufacturer is very particular about who they will sell the steel to.
Very much. You have to qualify. They're very, very selective on who and where and what channels they go into. Once we contacted them with the requirements, we really came up with a features and benefits list that we needed, for corrosion resistance, edge toughness, and also using it as a pry bar. LMAX was by far a clear choice, but it's a multiple more expensive than the standard knife steels. But that's even if you can get it. So the LMAX factory, they've got 5,000 employees at Udelholm.
That's in Sweden.
That's in Sweden. That's where they produce the billets. Then the materials roll actually into plate, and that's done in Austria. So we bring in 137-inch wide or long sheets of steel by basically 40 inches.
And LMAX is a powder steel.
It's a powder steel, which makes it much more homogeneous. So in other words, that you don't end up with carbides that are in different areas. The steel structure is very fine. So when you really look at the backbone, you don't see any holes or pits. It's just almost a mirror.
And the coating on this knife is like powder coating?
No, actually what we do with this for optics, it's pretty basic. We do a bead blast with number 8 bead with a certain amount of aluminum oxide in it. And so the knives are completely bead blast first, so it takes the optics from the light and diffuses it. Right. And then we go in with what they call a hard black oxide. So it's like a hard anodizing, but it's a standard black oxide. And it's pretty robust at that point.
So you've got two fixed blades. This is more the survival knife, and then this is I guess would be more the tactical. This is, for lack of a better term.
Well, for bud school. So there's two versions of this. There's a combat version, which is made out of the LMAX. We had supplied this knife initially to the master chiefs for evaluation of the instructors, and they actually came back to us and said the steel's too good. That they wanted the guys going through training to endure hardship and have material failure and learn how to take care of their gear. So they wanted the steel to corrode, and they wanted the edge not to be pulled so well, so that they could learn to sharpen the knife. So we're doing that with a 440C, with a 58 to 59 Rockwell, where the LMAX, even though it's capable to go up to a 65 Rockwell, we keep it at a 60, 61, and so that they could use it as a pry bar as well.
And then the other thing I thought was really interesting, like I said, there's so many interesting things to your story, is you've got this new folder with a very innovative lock design. And then this is offered in 3 different versions. You've got a manual, an assisted opening, and an automatic.
That's correct.
I saw a video that you just showed me that this lock was tested. You took it to failure, and it was, what was the weight on that?
It's 518 on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have it at 750 to 1,000. The failure point was threads, actually.
Yeah, so it wasn't the lock itself, it was the fastener that held the lock.
Yeah.
And you want to tell us a little bit about that? Explain how it works?
Yeah, this lock is very interesting. There's absolutely no lock mechanism in the frame at all. And so when you hold it up in the light, it's actually, there's nothing there. So the whole lock, we designed this specifically for special forces, where they wouldn't end up with a failure. The knife factories, the number 1 warranty issue out there is tip breakage, and then the second issue is lock failure.
Right.
Okay. So
makes sense.
So how we address the failure on the tip is this blade's a little on the thicker side versus most folders. Then the steel, coupled with the Tano, the special ops community wanted a Tano blade. We went with flat grinding, which makes it a stronger blade versus a hollow ground.
Right.
Okay. Then with this particular lock, we have a stainless steel pin that goes all the way through the blade, through into these 420 stainless steel liners. And so it's in a double shear. So it's similar to taking a 16 penny nail and driving it in the wall and hanging.
Right.
So this particular pin actually stays with the blade. You don't have a lock where it's coming in and interfering with the blade or wedging. It's actually part of the blade, and that the pin actually travels with the blade. Yeah. So in the automatic, you can see it, because here's where it ends up. When I open this, it actually travels and rotates with the blade and then relocks over here.
Do you have any plans to offer this in the ambidextrous version?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is G10 handle scales?
They're G10 handle scales. We CNC them. It's American-made G10.
Yeah, that's another something I like about your company. It's all American made right here in the USA. And these knives are available for purchase right now to the consumer. So it's not one of the cases where, okay, we're going to show you some really cool stuff, but you can't have it yet.
Right. We have inventory now, which is kind of unusual for this industry to go to the SHOT Show. But that went to thanks you to the special ops community. Right. Like you had mentioned earlier, they had requested that we not offer this to anywhere else, keep it quiet, because they realize, and it's happened to them in a number of areas, that it gets out in the viral world, and all of a sudden these factories get hit with so many orders, then they don't ship the seals or the special ops community. So they gave us a forecast last year of how much steel and how many knives they were going to do, and they went 4 times that.
Wow. So that's
and still growing.
So if folks are looking for an opportunity to get a really first-class knife that is made with the best materials out there, and that the folks who are putting their lives on the line daily trust their life to, First Edge knife, I'm telling you, this is a really nice knife. They have a really good. All of them are nice, and they can go to your website.
Yes.
FirstEdge.com.
FirstEdgeUSA.com.
FirstEdgeUSA.com. There'll be a link in the video description. Brad, I really appreciate you talking to me. You've got just the kind of story I think people need to hear, and I wish you all success. Well, thanks for all the support you're giving to our men and women in the service too.
Thank you.
This is Brian with Survival on Purpose. As always, remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. See you next time. I'd like to take just a minute to thank the folks at Through Night Flashlights for being the official sponsor for the Survival on Purpose coverage of the 2016 SHOT Show. It's no secret that I like Through Night. I think they offer the latest in flashlight technology at a very affordable price, and I encourage you to go check them out at throughnight.com. And thanks again to the folks at Through Night for sponsoring this video.